All right, let's talk about the Umbrella Academy. So, I actually did a review of the Umbrella Academy, season 2 during the pandemic, right around the just like a couple months into my YouTube channel. You can check that out way back then. I'm sure it's a terrible video. Just kidding. I love all my videos, but anyways, you get the point. And the Umbrella Academy was a show that was recommended to me by a friend, who she really loved the show, and I thought, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. It's superheroes. It's based on a comic book, and I know some YouTubers really like the show. So I gave it a shot, and I'll be honest, seasons 1 and 2 were not my favorite. I think that the character work in the show is pretty decent. I think that you grow attached to the characters and learn to like them and love them. I wasn't a big fan of the story, though, to be quite honest with you. I think that the story is okay. It was fine. And it had some intrigue and some mystery, but at the end of the day, it was just it was like, okay, yeah, it was fun. It was intriguing. So yeah, and I said in my season 2 review, I believe all those years ago, that right back where we started, right? That's the title of episode 1 of season 2, and that's the title of my review, the subtitle of my review. And I say that because the story feels very circular in a very self-aware way. Obviously, we keep going back to apocalypses and things like that. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. It feels like we're just resetting the same environment with the same characters. And so seasons 1 and 2 kind of felt very similar to me, just in different settings, obviously, but not a lot was revealed about the lore, as much as I would like, at least. And we'll talk about the lore in just a second. So this is your spoiler warning. I'll cap off this sort of non-spoiler introduction, and if you're interested in the Umbrella Academy, I will say that if you enjoy superheroes, if you enjoy comic books, and if you enjoy sort of dark humor, and it's not very gory, it's not very violent, it's not like The Boys or anything like that, but it's darker, obviously, but it's also more darkly humorous. So it's not like Logan, it's not like that kind of dark. But if you enjoy these kinds of things, I would recommend giving season 1 a try. It's very interesting, and I don't think it's a bad watch. And hopefully you would enjoy seasons 1 enough to get to season 3. And yeah, it's a recommendation from me. It's not my favorite show of all time, but it's fun. So yeah, that will end the non-spoiler part of this review. But yeah, I want to talk spoilers for those of you who have seen the show. And yeah, let's talk about season 3. So in terms of lore, right, one of the questions that I had been asking myself all of season 3, which is 10 episodes, which is great, by the way. Please, everyone, just be 10 episodes if the story is appropriate for that. But anyways, one of the questions that I had going into season 3 was, look, the biggest revelation to me in season 2 is that Reginald Hargreaves is an alien, and I have not read the comic books at all. Let's be clear. I only had watched the show, and so having seen that episode in that hotel or whatever, the banquet or dinner area where he takes off his face and he's an alien, that to me was the biggest question that needed to get answered. And it's strange to me that the show took so long to get there, and it looks like from the end of season 3 that season 4 will deal with that more, as Reginald Hargreaves becomes a true villain of the show, as he always has been lurking in the shadows as the villain, but I think he will be the true villain of season 4, which is exciting. But I thought, like, this revelation seems too big to just ignore, and it took till about episode 8, I believe, for him to kind of reveal that with him quote unquote killing Luther, and then him coming back, obviously, and then Allison cutting part of his face off, and you get to see kind of the alien anatomy, which is kind of terrifying. I also want to say, by the way, if you guys will already have noticed this if you've been watching the episode, I apologize for bringing this up so late in the video, so late in the podcast, if you're watching this on YouTube, but I just didn't have the opportunity, didn't have the time to prepare the slideshow beforehand, so I'll just be throwing up some images throughout the segment, just to give something new to look at. Apologies again. Yeah, and I hope that I do find a good picture of Reginald Hargreaves, because I feel like this is the most interesting character of the show, and they haven't done a lot with him. They've done a lot more with him, but it still feels like a tease. It's like at the end of season 3, you have him kind of going, "Hey, I have a bigger plan than you think," and it kind of manifests itself in him taking over the city in season 4 in this new time, or the end of season 3 into season 4 in this new timeline. But again, it kind of leaves me wanting a little bit. So I'm every season of the Umbrella Academy has left me wanting a little bit more than I would have liked. Which is okay for the most part. Like shows can, you're supposed to kind of build the intrigue and do all that sort of stuff with your shows and cliffhangers and things like that. Like I get it. But I think that the Umbrella Academy, for me at least, has not been as successful with towing the line of teasing future things, right, in future episodes and future seasons, and wrapping up your own season. I think season 3 was the most successful. Again, I think that season 3 was the best season out of all 3 seasons of the Umbrella Academy so far. But I do think that it's still left me wanting a little bit. I think that Steve Blackman, is that his name? The creator of the series, the television series, has said that season 4 is sort of his final one that he had planned. And I'm hoping that we get a lot more conclusions and a lot more answers to our questions in season 4. So that's that about Hargreaves, but Reginald Hargreaves. But let's talk about all the siblings. I think that with given the real life events that happened, I think that the transition from Vanya to Victor was handled very well within the show. I feared that it would become a distraction. There are a lot of ways that it could have been messy, let's just say, in a lot of different ways. But I think that the way that the show handled it was good, and so I have no complaints there. As for Victor's character, I was never the biggest fan of Victor and his character and when he was Vanya in the past 2 seasons. I never liked the character all that much, and to have him kind of be the center of all these apocalyptic events was fine. But again, I didn't mind that Victor took a little bit of a backseat in this season, although very important, obviously, with the things with Harlan, of course. So yeah, I think Elliot Page did a fine job with the role. Obviously, there were some emotional moments that I thought were done very well. So that was good. One of my least favorite characters. We can talk about the Sparrows actually as a collective. I think that the Sparrows in general didn't come off very well to me. I don't think that they were that. I feel like a lot of them were meant to be more likable than they actually were, but a lot of them just came off as jerks. And so I'm not even going to talk really about Alfonso or Christopher or Marcus or whatever. They, very inconsequential characters as it turns out, as they were killed very early into the season. But I mean, the couple of the main ones obviously were Ben and Sloane. And look, it's been a while, right? I've only seen Umbrella Academy seasons 1 and 2 only once, and I don't really plan on seeing them again. I don't remember Ben being played by Justin Min being that unlikable. And I know it's intentional that he's unlikable, but I just think that Justin's performance was not quite it didn't really translate for me. And I think that might be a subjective thing, but the way that he talks through gritted teeth the whole season, like it not gritted teeth, but he's enunciating every syllable, and it I don't know. It just didn't really work for me as a character. I found myself I didn't really want to see Ben a lot. And I think that Ben is a very 3-dimensional character. And was a little disappointing in that regard. I think Sloane was fine. I think Sloane was Genesis Rodriguez, right? I believe that's her name. I think she was fine. Obviously, she and Luther had a lot to do. We can talk about Tom Hopper. I think that Luther had a better arc in the season, obviously being, killed by Reginald Hargreaves, but I think those two didn't have a lot to do in the show other than trying to unite the families together, which is important, obviously. So I think that those two were fine. Just to kind of quickly go down the rest of them, because I don't want to spend all day just listing off Umbrella Academy siblings. I think that 5 was fine as well. I think Aidan Gallagher always just gives the same kind of I don't care, but also I do care sarcasm and cynicism, which is good. It works well. Who else am I missing? Klaus, I think, actually had the most to do. I think Klaus was really interesting, and sort of his arc with Reginald Hargreaves and seeking his approval. I think Klaus actually was pretty good throughout the show. Diego, I had also never really liked Diego that much, and I actually really didn't like Lila in season 2 at all. So while it was an improvement, the way that those two characters were written in this season, with Diego trying to, and Lila being pregnant and all that sort of stuff, still not a huge fan of those characters, honestly. which is fine. I don't have to be a big fan of every single character in every single show, not like Stranger Things, where I am a big fan of every single character. So there's that. I didn't love them. I didn't love Stan either. I think that subplot was kind of meandering and all that. I'm saving Allison for last because I want to talk about Allison. I think Allison is really interesting. I think she is the only one that I missed. If I missed a sibling, I apologize. That would be embarrassing. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, so let's talk about Allison. I think Allison actually had the craziest and I think most appropriate arc in this show. And, I think there's a lot to compare here with Wanda Maximoff and the MCU, right? Spoilers for Doctor Strange 2. Kind of grief and the chance to have it back, I think both actresses played that arc very well. I think, obviously, comparing to WandaVision and Doctor Strange put together, I think if Doctor Strange had been a TV show, you would have gotten to see a lot more of that manifesting. Obviously, Wanda's arc and, just like the grief with the knowledge that you've done everything you can and you had to let it go, but there is still a chance to bring them back at the end. That's why Allison makes the deal with Reginald Hargreaves. I think that's a really smart way to take the character. I think that, her making the villain turn, and I'm going to assume she's going to be the villain of season 4, at least one of them, her and Reginald. I don't think it's a coincidence that she and Reg were colluding towards the end of season 3. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But I think that the Emmy, I forget her last name, but Emmy does a great job. The actress who plays Allison does a great job in just presenting this hurt and this not even guilt. It's not guilt. She doesn't have guilt for anything. It's more just like the heel turn almost, right? I think she does a great job with that. So yeah, those are the characters. I think that the show really hinges on the characters. As for the storyline, I think that, there are only so many ways you can do a world-ending apocalypse, and that's fine. I also think that I think the whole Hotel Obsidian thing, or Oblivion thing, I feel like the show was a little bit disoriented, and I think that it's interesting because watching each individual episode, I enjoyed each individual episode. I think that the showrunners did a good job of giving each individual episode its own arc and its own narrative purpose. But then when you kind of look back and take a step back and watch the whole season, you kind of go, it's really just about this Kugelblitz. And, at the end of the day, then they go to the project Hotel Oblivion, and they enter this portal, and then there's this monster, these guardian monster guys who are terrifying because they're bugs, and I don't know what they are. And ultimately, it was a little disappointing. Although the finale, obviously, I think the finale was great. But yeah, I think that, the story of season 3 was not my favorite, but I think that a lot of the stuff that was done within the story was done really well. Like the stuff with Klaus and Reginald Hargreaves, and I think the last couple episodes in Hotel Oblivion was good. I just think that how we got there was a little bit messy. Obviously, again, speaking of just sequences that I will treasure forever in my heart, like with Stranger Things with Eddie and his guitar solo, a sequence that I have rewatched already numerous times is the Footloose sequence in episode 1. How awesome is that sequence? If you're still listening and you haven't seen The Umbrella Academy for whatever reason, it won't mean as much to you because you don't know the characters, but just go on YouTube and watch the Footloose sequence from season 3. It is one of the best sequences of television I've seen in just ever. It's so funny and it's so fun and jarring in a good way. And just like with Eddie's guitar solo, it just I want to rewatch those sequences over and over and over and over again. Good music, right? Good music in shows does a lot, does a lot. So yeah, I think season 3 was good. I definitely enjoyed it. I think the most out of all of the seasons thus far. I think it at least had some sort of focus towards the end that we were getting somewhere, although it kind of took a while to get there. And I think that season 4 is setting itself up to be probably the most focused out of the 4 seasons. So I'm excited for season 4. I'm excited to see where the cast goes. Obviously, they don't have superpowers anymore. That should be interesting. And yeah, I think that, the show is keeping me interested enough that I'm excited for another season. Although, again, I won't be counting down the days just like I will be with Stranger Things 5, per se. But still, it was a good show, and I enjoyed watching it. It took me a while to get through it. I don't think that was the show's fault. I think that was just Stranger Things and other things coming up. But yeah, I'm glad I finished it. So there is that.